Salut et bienvenue. Welcome to EBI10. Now, if you're watching this video, it's because in your latest assessment, your teacher has given you EBI10 as something to improve on. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. This is a really tricky bit of French grammar, but after today's video, you'll have revised all the rules and hopefully you'll be more confident and you'll need to know what to do for next time. Now, there's no quick fix to EBI10, I'm afraid. It just takes a lot of practice and a lot of learning. But if you do what I say in this video and if you work hard, you'll never see this EBI again and your French will really improve. So this is what we're going to do today. Let's have a look at EBI10, the perfect tense. I've already said there's no quick fix to this EBI. This is something that you'll need to do and you'll come back to again and again and again. And to be honest, you'll probably see this EBI again, but that is fine. Everyone gets that. I used to get it myself when I was learning French. One day it'll be completely natural, but between now and then, this is what you need to do for next writing assessment. So during the module, when we're doing a new verb or a new phrase that includes a verb, if it's an être verb, if it's one of the verbs we look at today, make sure you note that it's an être verb. Make sure you're practicing your past tense. Make sure you understand which verbs need to change like this. The second thing you need to do on your revision homework before your next assessment, you will have a long list of questions and at least one question there will be in the past tense. Make sure you use one of our être verbs today for the past tense question. Make sure you go for it. Make sure you get it in to show your teacher that you do know the difference and you know the rules for it. You can do that as part of your homework, as part of your preps. You could watch this video and then answer the question, and that is the way to get good. Get practicing, correct your errors, and you'll do really, really well. The extra challenge for all of the tense videos is the same extra challenge. I challenge you to make a revision poster. This is something you don't know. This is something you need to revise. So make a poster, make it look really nice, stick it on your bedroom wall and just keep coming back and revisiting it and revisiting it. That's what I used to do, not just for French, but for every subject. It will really help your learning. So these are the long-term things I need you to do. This video is going to work through some key questions to look at the past tense when we're using être. Alors, right guys, a bit different today because questions 1 to 5 aren't to do with this specific EBI. These are the 1 to 5 questions for EBI9, the normal way we use the perfect tense. So you probably know these if you've not been asked, if you've not had EBI9 as an EBI. 6 and 7 is what we're looking at today. But before we do 6 and 7, we need to know the answers to 1 to 5. So what I want you to do is put me on pause. See if you can answer 1 to 5 with our normal avoir verbs in the past tense. I'll go through the answers and then we'll look at 6 and 7. Put me on pause now, see what you can do. Alors mes petits, right guys, do you know the answers for 1 to 5? So you need to remember that the past tense has 2 parts. Unlike English where you say I played, I watched, I did, you never do that in French, because in French you have to have the have. You always say I have played, I have watched, I have done. The verb to have is avoir. You need to conjugate it. As well as me, j'ai, tu as, il, elle, on a, nous avons, vous avez, ils, ont. That's what we usually use. Now, you can't just say I have play, I have watch. We need to change that second verb as well to say played, watched, etc. So how does this happen? If it's an ER verb, change the ER to an E with an accent, and that's how we get that like ED sound. If it's an IR verb, change the IR to an I, and if it's an RE verb, change the RE to a U, and that's the normal past tense. Irregular verbs have different past participles. You've got to learn them, and we've got little rhymes for that. Fait, voulu, bu, voulu, pris, etc. You need to learn those rhymes to make sure you're ready. So this is the normal past tense, and this is what you'll spend a lot of time learning. This is really tricky. So if you haven't got EBI9, you've done well. EBI10 then is the hardest bit to the past tense. There's 2 little add-ons you need to know, because this will work for most verbs, like 99.9% of verbs. You just need to follow 1 to 5. But for some special verbs, they act differently, and what ties them together is all our verbs of motion, they behave differently in the past tense. Let's have a look at this. This is your EBI. So, a handful of verbs, our motion verbs, you don't use avoir to say I have done. You still have to have the have, but instead of saying I have gone, I have arrived, I have come, you say I am arrived, I am gone, I am entered, I am leaved. This is how you need to say it. In French, anytime you're expressing motion, and by that I mean your body moving from one place to another, not like I played, because I know you're moving around all the time, but the verb is to play. I mean a verb where it's talking about your body going from one part of the world to another part. You need to use être, not avoir in the past tense. Here's our verb être. It's yes, have, must know. You need to know off by heart. Je suis, tu es, il est, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils, elles sont. You need to know that well. So, how do you remember which verbs we use être for rather than avoir? I've told you one way, the way I like. There is another way to learn it. This is the most important thing. It's all about motion verbs. So anytime you're moving in French in the past tense, you don't use avoir, you need to use être. Here we go. He arrived, he went up, he went in, he stayed, he left, he went down, he fell, he left, he's returns, he's gone past. And then, because French is such a beautiful, poetic language, I love this about French. It's a motion verb when you're born, because you're moving into this world, and it's a motion verb when you die. Il est mort, he is dead, because sadly you're moving out of this world, hopefully to a better place, but probably not. So this is what it's all about. Any motion verb in the past tense, you need to use être. Also, any reflexive verb, you need to use être in the past tense as well. This is the easiest way to remember this. When my sixth form tutor showed me this, I was like, oh my god, that's so much easier than what I've learned. I was taught the other way, which is still helpful, and some of you might prefer this. It's all about being independent and what you want. The other way to learn it is Dr. Mrs. Vandertramp. I haven't made this. There is a mistake in this, but that's fine. People make mistakes all the time. We don't mind that. So there we go. There you go. That should be an E. So this is the other way to learn it. My teacher used to do this, and we used to have Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp tests, and you see all these letters in red. She gave us a sheet of paper with all these, and we had to fill in the verbs that took être, and we had to do this column, and then we had to show how they changed, which was easy because it was the past participle. Now this I used to do pretty much every starter when I was in year 10 and 11. This is what I used to do every lesson, so our teachers made us learn it. This is a good way to learn it as well. I prefer the motion verbs because I just remember that's moving, so it's got to be être, but this, I did learn this as well. This is the other way to learn it. It's only these verbs, only these verbs here where you need être. Je suis devenu, je suis revenu, je suis monté, je suis rentré. It's only these verbs that you need to use être rather than avoir in the past tense. And there's something else you need to know about these verbs, and A-levelers will know this. It's a general rule for whenever you use être. When you use être with another verb, the next verb has to agree. What do I mean about that? Agreement is when you add something for feminine or for plural. So you can see here, the answer to I went is je suis allé, I am gone. There's an extra E in brackets because if you're feminine, you need to add that E on the end as well. So just for these verbs, do not use them for the 99.9% of verbs that are avoir. It's just for the Dr. Mrs. Vandertramp and the motion verbs are the same thing. It's just for these verbs where you need to add an E if you're feminine, an S if you're plural, and an E and an S if you're feminine and plural. Just for these verbs, you've got to remember this. So girls, on your GCSE, you need to say je suis allé, which you will say when you use this. You've got to make sure that extra E is there to show the examiner you know this rule. Alors, this slide is just a really nice, clear way to show you what you need to do just on our être verbs, just on Dr. Mrs. Vandertramp, just on the motion verbs. They're the same verbs. You need to add an E for feminine, an S for plural, and an ES for feminine and plural. And here you can see all the different things that you'll need to add. Guys, those are the two rules. Let's put them together. Et voilà mes petits, j'ai dit qu'il faut savoir le verbe être et Vous savez déjà, j'espère, comment changer les verbes ici au passé. What does an ER change to? What does the IR change to? Et donc, ici, j'ai 1, 2, 3 mots en anglais. I went, we stayed, I went out. Comment dire en français? Alors, donc, put the two bits together. What we need to do is you need to get the right bit of être and then change our past participle. They're in order. I went, I stayed, I went out. You just use the top 3 verbs. All you need to do is change these 2 parts and think about all our rules. Motion verb, past participle, agreement. Put me on pause now and see what you can do. I fully expect you to make a mistake here. That's what I want to see today. Pause me now. When you think you're done, restart me and I'll show you the answers. Bon courage, hein? On y va. Alors mes petits, right guys, if you listen to me now, you've had a go at this. I want you to make mistakes on this because this is your EBI and this is so tricky. So let's go through all the rules and what we know. I went, so it's a motion verb. We're using aller to go. So we don't use avoir, we use être. So you need I am gone. So we need je suis, and then the ER changes to an E with an accent. Je suis allé. Now for 50% of you, approximately, that's right. But for 50% of you, exactly the same answer is wrong. Why? Because girls, you need to add an extra E on the end because you're feminine. This is our answer. So je suis allé. If you're feminine, you need that extra E. If you've not got it, it is wrong. Alors, we stayed. Okay, so now we're talking about nous. You don't say nous avons because rester, to stay somewhere, is a motion verb. So it's nous sommes, and then we need to change the ER to an E with an accent. And as it's nous, it's talking about we. There's more than one of you. It's plural, so you need an S on the end. Nous sommes restés. You all need an S. You could have an ES on the end if all the we is feminine. And finally, I went out. So again, it's not I have. It's a motion verb, so you need to use être. Je suis, and then sortir is our verb. It's an IR verb. The IR changes to an I, and the same as number 1. If you're feminine, you need an extra E on the end. So that would be perfect. If you've got 2 out of 3 of these, I'll be very happy with that, yeah? If you've got 0, I think that's perfectly normal here. Go back and watch the video again and then have another go at these questions to see what you can do. This is the toughest part of the past tense, one of the toughest parts of the GCSE course. So well done if you got 2 out of 3 or more. Alors mes petits, right guys, let's test ourselves. Here's the 7 questions. Put me on pause, see if you can answer them. Alors mes petits, right guys, so we know 1 to 5 already with our regular avoir verbs. There's 2 parts to the past tense. You have to have the haves. You never say I played in French. It's always I have played. You've got to change the second verb to get that like ed sound. I have play, I have played. Why does it matter if it's ER, IR, RE? Because that shows us how to change the verb to make that ED sound. ER changes to an E with an accent. IR changes to an I. RE changes to a U. Irregular verbs, they've got different past participles. Fait, voulu, bu, voulu, vécu, dit. There's loads of them. Watch EBI video 9 if you want to learn them all. And then, remember, this is where we are today. For verbs of motion, you don't use avoir, you need to use être. So you don't say I have gone, you say I am gone. And to the endings, because we're using être and just to these verbs, you need to agree. So you add an E for feminine and S for plural. Et bon effort, mes petits. Right, guys, this is definitely the hardest EBI at GCSE anyway, so well done for working through this video. Hopefully you've got a better idea and you know the theory, but you're never going to crack this without practice. So watch the next slide where I'm going to talk through the daily tests that your teacher would have set you and what you need to do to conquer this EBI so you never see it again and your French makes even more progress. Well done for watching. See you the next time. À bientôt. Au revoir. Your next step is your daily test. So your French teacher will have set you this for your homework. You've got your daily test booklet. Do not write in the booklet. What I want you to do, step 1 is in your pink books, copy out this box, copy out all the questions, copy out all the answers, and then copy out the blank test next to it. Then you're going to revise all the answers here. So you're going to spend your time learning this, make sure you master it. Once you've got it, this is what I want you to do. Cover up the answers, make sure you can't see them, and then in the blank test that you've copied out, take out your red pen, see if you can answer all of these questions and see if you can fill in any boxes. Then once you've done that, uncover this and look at what you've done and mark up your work. What have you got right? What have you got wrong? And then have a look. This is the ideal bit. Rinse and repeat. Go back to the start, revise the answers again, and then test yourself again, and then revise again, and then test again, and then mark again, and repeat until you've absolutely cracked it. And then if you've cracked it, say you started Monday and by Tuesday you know it off by heart, great. I bet you by Friday you will have forgotten it again. It's called a daily test because we want you to do it once every day, and the best students do this. Test yourself every day. If you can do it for 5 consecutive days in a row and get 100%, you've cracked it, you've got it, you've done it. So that is your homework for next time. Your extra challenge, guys, is to make a revision poster on this. So why don't you watch the video again, pause it, make a poster, make it look amazing, stick it up in your room or show it to your French teacher, show to make sure you've mastered this. This is EBI 7. It is so important. Hopefully now you're happy and you can crack it. Thank you for watching. À bientôt. Au revoir.